Hey, good morning. Well, if it isn't Farron and Suzanne, the butterfly ladies, welcome.
We're so happy to be here.
We're so excited to be here. Thank you for inviting us into your home.
So excited to have you all here. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. It's such a privilege, and we've got a treat for you all. This is a beautiful space.
Today you find us already on set at a fabulous space that we're eager to share with you. And as a sneak peek, you can see behind us perhaps a little bit of activity. If not, we'll, as we always say, we'll zoom in.
The ladies have joined us.
Yes, we have some ladies that have joined us.
Sally, Tina,
Leanne, Jim and Tim, and Clinton.
Yes. Beautiful, beautiful.
Yes, who are very happy with their space, and they're excited that their space has blueberries in it.
Yeah.
And one in particular, Sally, she loves the blueberry.
I can't express enough my gratitude to these homeowners.
Oh, yes.
It looks like they're doing what we would think of as the impossible. You're going to see where they have actually removed concrete in their urban space to create more green space.
Yes.
That just seems like such an impossible thing to do. Concrete seems like such an immovable object.
Right? And what a undertaking that leaves behind such a beautiful gift.
Right.
As we'll show you.
We're just grateful for their vision and their determination and their commitment to restore habitat in an urban setting.
In multiple ways.
Right.
With vegetation, hardscape, restoration.
Lack of chemicals. I mean, they are just in every corner of their landscape. They're just doing all the things that you can do to be sustainable.
Yes.
And they're actually growing food inside the city that they're sharing with their neighbors, so they're building community. This whole block is full of life and warmth and excitement.
Yes, there's a true generosity that emanates from this corner of a very urban downtown space, and we're delighted to share it with you.
Right.
Suzanne, let's start outside. And immediately I am intrigued that I am seeing citrus between his sidewalk and a very busy thoroughfare in a downtown setting.
Right? Not what you would expect.
Not at all. So let's learn more about that.
Okay.
After a trip to Athens, Greece, where I saw orange trees on the streets, and they were there for the general public to take the fruit when it was ripe. And so I decided I was going to try the same. Once they get larger, they'll provide shade as well as the fruit.
Let me show you what I found. Look at that little caterpillar.
There's two of them.
There's another. And I bet behind this leaf being eaten is another. So the citrus is the host plant of the giant swallowtail butterfly. We have many giant swallowtail butterflies in the making right here on this citrus plant.
Just to remind our viewers of what the giant swallowtail looks like, let's take a look at some of Farron's fabulous photography, including her award-winning close-up. And is this peanuts I see growing?
Oddly enough, yes, 6 years ago for my first graders, we grew peanuts in a cup, and some of the students didn't take theirs home, so I brought them, and they just kind of spread.
Michael, why don't we start in this corner here with this tall bottlebrush tree? Tell me about that.
Bottlebrush, I just liked it because it was ornamental, but my friend Farron here tells me that the blooms, and it's beautiful when it's in full bloom, is great for the bees. And I do see certain times of the year, it looks like the tree is actually alive. There are so many bees in the tree.
And it is. It's full of life. And hummers love it too, I think.
Yeah.
And these trees are how old?
5 years.
Wow.
I did not realize they would get this big. I thought they were a
Yes.
smaller variety, but I still enjoy them.
Oh, it's perfect. It gives such great balance to your garden. And then this candy corn sage?
Candy corn sage, also a bee attractor.
And I love that you have milkweed.
Milkweed.
Beautiful.
I have some rosemary plants in the back there. The restaurant across the street will come over and snip some branches off when they're making dishes that require fresh rosemary. So it makes me feel good that other people are getting use out of the plant as well.
How fabulous is that?
I love it.
That the local restaurant can come to a organic area
Right.
and just snip the freshest herbs possible
Yeah.
and use them in their dishes.
I love how you have planted an additional bottlebrush to balance the other tree you have on the other side.
I'm not a real big fan of symmetry, but in this case, I do like that it creates balance. On this half, it's kind of a hodgepodge. It wasn't very well organized, but I still enjoy it. Some succulents that started with one plant that I threw out there a couple years ago, and it's spread and seems to be enjoyed by a lot of people. Fennel, some parsley, which I actually got my first swallowtail caterpillars off.
And are these the mammoth sunflowers you got?
Mammoth sunflowers donated to me by Miss Farron herself, and they'll get really big. I really enjoy when they are in full bloom. Down the street is a place called the Steeple. I've had wedding parties come get their pictures taken in front of the sunflowers when they're in full bloom. So that made me feel good that, again, other people from within the community are getting some enjoyment out of it as well. Here, another gift, some 4 o'clocks. I like those because they grow easily. They're drought resistant, and they get their name apparently because they bloom right around late afternoon.
I love it.
And they are fluorescent. They're very bright. It looks like a neon sign. They're so bright.
It's so pretty.
Again, they're drought resistant. They're easy to grow. They propagate easily. Most of the stuff has been in here 3 or 4 years, and it just keeps coming back. I don't, as you can see, don't put a whole lot of effort into making it look pretty. I like the plants, and I like.
Well, you must be doing something right if they keep coming back year after year.
That's right. They like it here. I see some more milkweed, which of course we love seeing it scattered all over the place.
And I have a feeling the seeds popped out of the pod.
Probably so.
The wind carried that silk with a little seed attached, and wherever it landed, he has allowed it just to grow and thrive in its space.
That's right.
I do not know the particular name of this succulent, but I do like it because it's, again, drought resistant. It'll go weeks without water. It grows well here. I had a difficult time putting other stuff. Nothing seemed to survive in that soil for some reason. But that seems to be doing great in that soil.
We've shown you outside the courtyard walls, and now you see that we're inside the courtyard walls. Let's look at some of their water features and some of their landscaping ideas and a little bit more in depth of what's behind us here. Hey girls!
Also, we're going to introduce a new segment of plants called Just Because Plants.
I love that you've come up with that term.
I mean, they may not be native, probably not. And we may not know what big function they serve in the big
Right.
scheme, except that we just love them.
That's right.
And there's something about, you gotta love a plant in a garden.
Yeah, that's
And
just because.
Just because.
I love that phrase.
Okay.
Yeah.
Michael, tell us about your water feature here.
I saw the pitcher plants. They're native to Alabama, actually. And I tried to recreate the habitat for them. I was so impressed with the school that I used to work for had one. And I enjoyed the aesthetics of it. Pitcher plants seem to like that area.
The pitcher plants are carnivorous.
Yes.
And so that they will actually eat bugs.
Yes.
Great sustainable choice for a place that has lots of mosquitoes.
Yes. Some of this other plant life came from the Delta and the Bay. and it seems to do quite well there in that clay type soil. I don't know if you can zoom in and see all the tadpoles in there, but there's 3 different frogs that I see here, that the common brown toad, and then there's a green tree frog that likes to procreate in that pond, and then there's also the small itty-bitty brown tree frog.
And then you've got the native Alabama lily, I think, the Cahaba lily?
The Cahaba lily, again, that came from the Delta, and it's a beautiful bloom. Unfortunately, it doesn't last but a few days, but they are spectacular when they're in full bloom.
And they're a great source of nectar, apparently, for our pollinators.
Yes. Anything in that area there came from the Delta, and I just plopped it in there, and it seems to take well to that. I just brought the clay soil with it and put it in there, and it does fine, comes back year after year.
Tell us about these fish.
Fish,
Are they goldfish?
they are goldfish from Farron's pond. She didn't want to put poison in her pond to kill the mosquitoes, so I told her put some goldfish in there, and she did. She went to the store, got 2 or 3 goldfish, and within a couple of years the pond was literally had hundreds of the goldfish in there.
Oh, I love it.
And so she donated a few of those.
And they eat the mosquito larvae, I
They
guess.
eat the mosquito larvae. I'm still trying to figure out whether they eat those tadpoles or not. That plant there, the Meadow Beauty, came from the botanical garden. It's a perennial, comes back year after year,
Yeah.
native to this area.
Well, here you've really got a beautiful setup for some backyard chickens.
It's very convenient. They don't need a great deal of space. They're great for, obviously, the fresh eggs. There's a world of difference between a store-bought egg and a fresh egg.
Yeah.
Both in texture, taste. Just looking at it, you can tell that it's a fresh egg when you go to cook it.
Right.
The chickens are great for weed control.
Yes,
They also eat. They keep the pests under control. They scratch the ground clearly, and they eat any type of bugs that are in the ground. And that's another reason we try not to use. Well, we don't use any pesticides at all.
Mm-hmm.
And because you don't want that in the system, then the chickens will eat it, and then
you eat it.
Then you eat the eggs. So, but it's unnecessary when you have the chickens, because they really do a great job at keeping bugs and other pests under control.
That's great. Tell me about this. Is this a Satsuma?
A Satsuma, we thought we'd have enough space in here for Satsuma, and who doesn't like citrus?
Oh, Satsumas are such a great little local mandarin orange.
They are absolutely delicious. I don't know anybody who doesn't like
I know.
Satsumas.
You've certainly got a nice stand of pentas here.
That's one of my favorite colors. I didn't realize how many colors that pentas will come in. Great butterfly attractor.
Yeah. Okay, Michael, here we have another Just Because plant, and it is spectacular, but we think you're showing off because it's hard to keep alive.
That's true. That's round number 2. We had some, I think this is year number 2 that we've had these. We had some others.
It is a staghorn fern, and we can tell the name because the leaves resemble the antlers of a stag, and they're just such a spectacular plant. Michael, I call this the segment entitled, Yes, It Can Be Done. Here you all have actually removed concrete.
Yes, clearly it's not very aesthetically pleasing yet, but as soon as we get some soil in there and some plants that'll tolerate the direct sunlight, and we're trying to take up the concrete. A city doesn't have to be all concrete. It's not that difficult to have green spaces and make the area a little bit more pleasing. As soon as that oak tree gets a little bit bigger, it'll provide shade.
Oh, it will. It's such a beautiful, healthy specimen of a live oak. I see milkweed growing underneath, of course, everywhere you can. I see that you've incorporated that. Can y'all imagine in the summertime or in the fall when they come back through and it's full of monarchs in the middle of the city in the concrete? I mean, what a
In the
joy.
middle of a concrete jungle.
That's right.
Yes.
And I do plan on putting mostly the milkweed in there, just so it has a big one big spot.
Mass planting is always impressive, and can't ever have too much milkweed.
No.
You have friends and family that send you milkweed from all over the country.
Yes, and then I grow them, and for people just getting started, it's always convenient to have a pot with a plant in it to get them going, and then once they get it, they get hooked, and they that first time they see a caterpillar turn into a pupa or a chrysalis, and then watching the butterfly emerge, it's not just for little kids.
No,
you
it's
just
not.
never get tired of watching that butterfly come out of that pupa. It's just an amazing process.
You're so right about that.
We hope you've enjoyed visiting this space as much as we've enjoyed visiting this space. There were so many layers of transformation. They're hard to recount and express, but hopefully you saw all that we saw and experienced. What a great space. And like you said, what a great example to the neighbors around. People watch. They see what's being done. And there are a lot of good people in the world who think, okay, let me add my contribution to the overall.
Right, to sustainability.
Yes.
It can be done. It's just a matter of changing our values and the way we look at things.
That's right. These homeowners took a third of a city block and transformed all aspects of it to this beautiful housing for residential units, maintaining the historic significance, and taking some old warehouse space and utilizing it in new and purposeful ways. As we close this segment, we'll leave you with a before and an after, and of course, some time just to sit back, take a deep breath, and listen to the wonderful sound of water. Until next time.